Hey, Cyberspace, Nathan Wallace coming at you from the Cybirical engineering offices outside New Orleans, Louisiana, with another CyberAware tip of the day. Today's topic is physical security, and basically how physical security is and always should be considered an element of cybersecurity. There's multiple reasons. First and foremost, if you're physically at the device, let's say if it's a relay or even if it's a laptop, what can you do? Well, you just hit it with a hammer or a bat, right? You can destroy it. Physical, basically rendering a cyber asset inoperable. Therefore, physical is a element of cybersecurity. We actually saw this, right, where they broke in to a substation. I think this was in California, maybe not last year, but maybe the year before, and basically took a bat to some comms equipment, some relays, right? So here's two examples as well. So once again, physical security is an element of cybersecurity. Example one, laptop. So you can actually take a USB, this little guy. Let's say if you log out of your machine at the end of the day, you leave it at a hotel. Anyone can basically take a USB, turn it into a bootable operating system, to where whenever you insert, you load up the BIOS and you say, okay, instead of booting off the hard drive, I want to boot off the USB. Okay. What happens is you boot into the Linux distro. You can then mount the hard drive that's inside the machine, and then say, okay, I want to go in and I want to delete the registry that says Windows password. I want to copy files out, right? So you don't even have to have logged into the machine to copy those files out. If you go in and actually edit the Windows registry, take the USB out, reboot, you can actually load up the machine without even typing in a password. So really crazy stuff. But once again, physical security is a component of cybersecurity or an element. Example two, this is a real example. So this is as far as a distribution control center. So in this example, we have our control center, which basically are operators here. They have little HMI screens, human machine interface screens where you have an operator and he's able to see and control this system out here. So we have houses, there may be some businesses and stuff. So switches, so power's coming in right here. So these are physical switches, not necessarily communication switches right here, that if the operator can then remotely control this switch right here and this switch right here, okay? He can see the status. Is it open? Is it closed? So all that is facilitated. So this is a physical, all that's facilitated by this communication infrastructure. So each one of these are network switches. And then here, so there would be another one right here, huh? And then basically this is a fiber optic comms network, okay, or fiber optic communications network. And then this is going back to the control center. And then what this is doing, this is basically doing those SCADA operations. So supervisory control and data acquisition, that kind of functionality, right? It can supervisory control, so it can control these switches, and it's getting that data back out to the operator, and it's logging and doing all the fancy recording and everything. But in this example, these switches basically would be, as far as these communication switches, they would be inside of a NEMA box, some kind of enclosure, geographically distributed, right? Just spread everywhere throughout the service territory. And in this example, this is a real world example, someone actually gained access. I think the NEMA box was left open or didn't have a lock on it. Obviously, it didn't have an alarm that was properly engineered into it or designed into it. So in this example, someone gained access. So let me just try to draw my little stick figure here. They actually gained access to the NEMA box, opened it up, and there was a switch. So like a network switch, with jacks, Ethernet jacks, ports. So they plugged in. When they plugged in, they actually could see all of these other switches. They could also see all of these machines, to the point where they were able to pull up a desktop of exactly what the operator was seeing. So the one line that was controlling this distribution system, this guy connected to this one little bitty box was able to basically communicate and see all the other assets, the control center. Of the control center. So the reason this is important, right? We go through all this pain to say, okay, control center, we need to lock it down. We have even special terms, physical security perimeter. So we're only going to get access, via RFIDs. So some ID badge, you got to badge in, you got to badge out. You have to keep a log. There's cameras everywhere in here. But you have to think and say, okay, This is how things are physically connected in the control center, but how are things logically connected throughout the entire system, throughout the entire topology? Because in this scenario, this guy plugged into this remote NEMA box, the switch had access to the entire system, right? So once again, physical security should and always be considered or is and should always be considered an element of cybersecurity. So hopefully this is helpful. For more tips and tricks, check out staysafeonline.org, or you can check out our website, cybirical.com. Cyber safely.